Well, my plan right now is to have a vaginal birth, and I do plan on having epidural.
Did everything go according to plan?
Slightly, but no. Yes, well, no, not everything went according to plan.
That's like me when I do anything. Did everything go according to plan? Yes. Well, actually, no. It was fine though.
I'm Mary Lee.
I'm Jessica.
And who are you to each other?
Friends. We're co-workers. She's my baby's mama oven.
I guess I'm just a surrogate, right? No one's ever
gestational
called it.
carrier.
Oh, gestational carrier, right? Yeah.
The distinction they're making, I have talked about before, is that the difference between a surrogate and a gestational carrier is that a surrogate or traditional surrogacy included or was specific to people who were intentionally getting pregnant with a baby that was genetically related to them, but planning to give it to another family. So this was coined before the times of assisted reproductive help, where you can make an embryo that is genetically related to the parent and then house it in a uterus that it has no genetic relation to. And that would be a gestational carrier. Does that make sense? Yes, I can increase the audio.
How was the baby conceived?
I mean, it was with somebody that I've been seeing for like a year or so.
It seemed unfair that you guys couldn't have a kid.
And it is unfair. My husband and I, we had waited a long time to have a baby. I finished school, we had jobs, we bought a house. You know, check. I did all the things I was supposed to do. And then I couldn't have a baby. So I was...
That's a really common thing that people say when they sit in my office is like, I spent all this time learning how to keep from getting pregnant, and I did everything right, checked all the boxes, and now, I have infertility. And it's true. It's not fair, and it is hard for a lot of people, and it can be really life-changing for someone to struggle through that, no matter what the outcome ends up being for them. And someone had said, I liked the term baby mama oven, and that was cute, yeah. Cookies
birth
out of the
plan?
sky.
Well, my plan right now is to have a vaginal birth, and my mom thinks that I should have a natural birth, but I do plan on having epidural.
In our perfect world, we get to the hospital in time to get Mary Lee an epidural.
Yeah.
That's...
Won't happen though. I had an epidural for like a half hour,
Yeah.
right? I didn't feel like I was gonna die at any point during her birth, which is a win.
They brought the anesthesiologist in the room, and I was like, oh, I feel like I have to poop really bad. And they were like, no, that is not poop. That's the baby's head. That's the baby's head. They didn't finish giving me the epidural. I felt everything.
How do you think this is going to change your relationship?
It's interesting. There are way more, I would say percentage-wise, in the U.S. when I was working there, people tend to have babies with epidurals far more frequently than here. And I like, there's not a judgment to me on this. It's neutral. Like, people should do whatever they want. But it is interesting. It's a bit harder to access them where we are right now because I'm at a smaller hospital and there's not always someone available, but most of the time there is. But I guess just the culture of birth here is less people get anesthetic.
I think that we'll probably be a little bit more comfortable with each other. I'm going to be front and center.
Yes.
Using vagina. I saw her come out of your vagina.
Gas and air is
Yeah,
more common.
you did.
We've discussed a lot of our own bodily functions. So I think it just brings another level of closeness.
Someone in the chat said that they had a C-section for a breech baby, and they were worried the epidural wasn't working, and then the nurse was like, well, I just put the catheter in. This is a very relatable experience to me. So I had a very serious needle phobia growing up, and although I overcame that out of necessity, this is to the point that I almost gave up a med school acceptance because I was too afraid to get my blood drawn to check my titers and to get my vaccinations for anything that I wasn't immune to. It was serious. And I almost didn't go to med school because of it. But luckily I overcame that. And although I had overcome that by the time I had a baby, I still was very medically anxious, and I still am. Dentists more so, but I don't know, it's a thing. And when I had the twins, they were born at 35 weeks, and I was a medical student, and baby A was breech, so I also had a cesarean. And I remember them doing the spinal, and then they laid me down, and I was like, it's not working, it's not working. And because I'm familiar with how C-sections go, I knew that when they were like uterine, it meant that they were like at my uterus and about to get the babies out. And I was like, okay, all right, it's working. I agree. All right, I concede, it's working. Fine, it's working.
Were you worried that you would be attached to her?
Yeah, of course.
When we hold that cute tiny baby, I'll be like, man, I wish we had one of these. And then it'll cry and I'll be like,
When I've had my own kids, you feel this immediate connection. And I looked at her and I immediately was like, this isn't my baby.
Every parent doesn't have I don't know if I can give enough love to have another, because if you get twins the first time, you're like, oh, actually, yeah, I already know that. So we can have as many as we'd like. Okay, let's move